to. Good evening, good evening. Thank you, Earl, for that question. The question you asked was, they give you certain formulas on the formula sheet. But what I wanted to explain to you is this. So if you look at some of the most missed questions, right? So here in this first section, now this is again, you can't find this PDF anywhere anymore. I don't know why, but this is a list of the most missed questions on the GED exam, the types of questions. So if you look at this first part, it says compute the area and circumference of circles. Okay, well, that's what everybody does in their adult education class. Everybody does that. A equal pi r squared, circumference equal 2 pi r or pi times d. But the second part of this, find the radius or diameter of a circle when given the area or circumference. So then you have to manipulate the formula. Okay, so a lot of my students always have troubles isolating the variable or getting the variable by itself. What I did in the ebook was I gave you that shortcut. So same thing. Let me show you. So let me get a blank page. So when you get the formula on the formula sheet, right, it says area equal pi r squared. Well, that most missed question said find the radius when given area, right? So what they're basically telling you is, and this is what algebra really is all about, is solving for the unknown. So in this case, we know the area. That's no longer unknown. We don't know the radius. So you want to solve this equation for r. So if you look at this equation here, it says area equal pi r squared. So let's try to work this out. How would I get r by itself? What would I need to do if I wanted to get r all by itself? What would you have to get rid of first?
The pi.
Pi
right,
squared.
You would have to get rid of the pi. How would you get rid of the pi?
What you do on one side, you do on the other.
But what operation are we doing? Divide. Because remember, this means pi times r squared. The opposite of multiplication is division. So we're going to divide by pi. Then what you said, now whatever we do on one side, we do on the other. We know that anything over itself cancels out. So we know the 2 pi's now cancel out. So we have a divided by pi equal r squared. Again, r squared. Well, is r by itself? No. Remember, when you're solving for a variable, you want r equal, t equal, x equal. You want the variable all by itself. Right now it says r squared. So how can we get rid of, just like if we want to get rid of multiplication, we just divide it. How do we get rid of squaring something? What's the inverse operation? What's the opposite operation of squaring something?
Square root.
Square root. So when we take the square root of this side, again, whatever we do on one side, we do on the other. So we take the square root here. So our final formula is area divided by pi is equal to r. This is not on your formula sheet. Now, if you know how to solve for r, then you can just work it out. But if you have been troubles, that's the easiest way, just to remember. Square root of area divided by pi is equal to r, right? So let's do a small example real quick. So for example, let me grab my calculator. I'm gonna do something that works out real quick. Hold on. I'm gonna make sure it works out. So I'm gonna say the radius is 6. So so watch this. So say in an example that the area is equal to 113.04 square feet. So you're given the area. So now, if you know this formula, this becomes a 20-second problem. If you know that, okay, they gave me the area and I need to find a radius, then I'm going to go to my calculator and I'll clear everything and make it bigger. But watch this. Watch how fast this becomes. If you know how to use your calculator, square root ND The area was 113.04. And then when we, does everybody know what pi is? What is pi?
3.14.
3.14, right? So now get out of my square, get out of my fraction, get out of my square root, hit enter. So now I just found out that my radius is 6, right? So now in my ebook, I try to do all three. So no matter what they give you, no matter if they give you, they want you to solve for the radius, diameter, or the circumference. So if we know R is 6, what's my diameter?
12.
12. Because everyone should know now. You should know that relationship between radius and diameter. But I'm using my calculator again because I love my calculator. Multiply by 2. Now, I know my diameter is 12. Now, what if they ask for the circumference? So my diameter is 12. You should know from your formula sheet that the circumference equal d times pi. Well, we just figured out d was 12. So now you just got to multiply that 12 times 3.14. So we just did 3 different problems that they may ask in one. And that's by knowing that formula. Knowing that radius is equal to the square root of area divided by pi. Now, if you want to do it algebraically, that's fine. To me, if you do 5 or 10 problems, you'll remember what it is. So when you see that problem, when you see that area of a circle, and they gave it to you, they looking for a radius or the diameter, it's easy money. A square root of area divided by pi gives you radius. If they want to look for the diameter, multiply that radius by 2. So let me go ahead and screenshot this real quick. Let me clear it just for a second. And then let me make this bigger. So if you go back over the video, you'll be able to see exactly. Oops, that was too much. Can't. I started right there. That's where I started right there.
Mr. Tinsley,
Mhm.
if we wanted to go just to get the circumference, we don't have to use the square root bracket, right?
Well, it depends upon what they're asking you. You got to know what the formula. So, for example, if they gave you a circle, let me draw a circle. I'm gonna draw a circle. Okay, so they gave you a circle, right? And
Right.
now I'm gonna draw a. If they gave you this right here. How would you do that? That's all they gave you.
Okay, area to circumference. I will break that down to making that 6 square times 3.14.
Right. So first of all, what you did was you identified that what they gave you, your diameter is 12 feet. So first of all, identify your given, what you're given. So your diameter is 12. From knowing your diameter is 12, what did you figure out next?
Radius.
Your radius.
Yes.
Thank you so much. That your radius is 6. So remember, always identify your given. So even though they didn't give us the radius directly, they still gave us the radius. Because why? Because we know the diameter. So now when you go to your formula sheet, that's direct. There's nothing for you to do. All you need to do is plug in now. 3.14, plug it in your calculator, times 6 squared. And how would we do our circumference? Again, go to your formula sheet, d times pi. Why am I using d times pi? Because they gave us diameter already. There's no reason to use 2 pi r when they already gave us the diameter.
Which one? The big one.
Okay. Is anybody having problems hearing me?
No.
No.
Okay, somebody just sent a message, said they can't hear me. Who was that?
Sound a little muffled. Sound a little.
It sounds like you underwater.
Oh, really? Okay. Let me try to bring my mic closer to my mouth. How about now? Is that a little bit better?
Yes.
Yeah, that's better, but yeah, that's better.
Yep.
Okay. So circumference equal d times pi. Again, using your calculator, you just plug your diameter, which is 12. Again, we're going to use parentheses because we're multiplying, times 3.14. And then you just plug it right into your calculator. So for those are direct. Those are the formulas that's on your formula sheet. What you were asking about is when they asking you the most missed question, when they want you to find a radius of the diameter. That's not on your formula sheet.
Right.
So now, okay, let's go to the other end. Let me save this. Let me save it. Now, what if they ask you, if they give you the circumference, right?
That's what I was asking.
So if they give you the circumference, and I'm just gonna make something up. Let's just do 37.68.
I'm sorry.
And
You sound the same way.
Find the same way or similar way?
Pretty much the same way. The way you sound, like, I don't know. Maybe it's internet by you. I don't know.
Oh, I sound the same way. Okay. My internet doesn't look like it's weak here. Let me check. My internet looks strong. Let's see. Oh, that's a little bit better.
It sounds like you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay, let me see. I don't know. It is storming here, so it may be
That's why.
it may be the weather here. We got some storming and rain and all that kind of stuff. All right, so I'll try to talk a little bit slower. So if you're given a circumference, again, you start off with the formula that you know. Since we're trying to solve the diameter, how would I get diameter by itself? What would I do to this equation in order to get the D by itself?
By
Divide by what?
d pi
Divide by pi. Whatever I do on one side,
to the other.
I do on the other. So now I have C divided by pi is equal to my diameter. Again, this is not on your formula sheet. This is another formula that if you know how to manipulate the equation, this becomes an easy problem. So if I gave you that the circumference was 37.68, all we're doing is substituting in. We're going to use our calculator, 37.68 divided by 3.14. So again, we grab our calculator. Can somebody put that in that calculator for me, please? 37.68 divided by 3.14. 12. So our diameter is 12. So if our diameter is 12, what would my radius be?
6.
6, because the radius is half. So again, that's one of the most missed questions. Given area or circumference, what is the diameter or the radius? We just did it. So now let me ask you, it's just a simple question. If they put out a publication that said these are the most missed questions, can you expect to probably see them?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. So that's why in that section I put that in my ebook. Shows you how to do with the calculator. With bang, 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 3 steps. So if you practice enough, you'll be able to do any one of these questions in less than like a minute. All right.
But
So
Mr.
yes.
Tinsley, in the last one we did when we searched for the circumference and I mean for the radius and diameter, we did 3 steps and we used the square root bracket. For circumference, to get that, we don't, I mean,
no, not to get it, as if you're given the circumference.
Right, if we're given that, we don't have to put it in the square root bracket, right?
You tell me. So when we divided both sides by pi, okay, so remember, the reason why we had to take the square root, because that was the inverse operation of squaring something. In this formula, we don't have anything squared.
Okay.
Got me?
Right.
So I don't want you to remember, oh my God, I gotta take the square root. You gotta remember why. Area equal pi r squared. So we had that r squared. In order to get r by itself, we take the square root.
Okay.
Got me?
So now, but now just in case I want to get it up here, got it. Okay. Even if I do that for the volume for height, I do the same.
That's a little. So let me clear it out. Good question. Let me save it. So volume equal pi r squared h. Right. So say this is this. Does anybody know this is the formula for what?
Volume.
Volume of what? What shape?
Oh, it could be a
cylinder.
It could be a cylinder.
It's a cylinder. So remember last week I showed you about those flashcards on my website. you should know, listen, you already know you're gonna get the formulas. And I'm not saying, can you use your formula sheet? Yes, but you should be familiar with almost every single formula on that formula sheet. So one of the things I tell my classes is when they're using a formula, say it out loud. So I want to find the volume of a cylinder, volume equal pi r squared h. That way, the more you use it, the more you practice, the more you commit it to memory. So now, right away, you didn't tell me cylinder, but you said r squared. Now, so if we look at a cylinder, look what happens. When somebody just, oh, there we go. If you look at a cylinder, again, you have to connect the dots. What is the base of a cylinder? What is the base? What shape is the base of a cylinder?
A circle.
A circle. So that's what volume is. Volume is the area of the two-dimensional shape times the height. So if we look at the circle at the bottom, pi r squared times the height. That's what gives something its third dimension is the height. Two dimensions is length and width, whatever. The third dimension is the height. So to find volume, all you're doing is taking the area of the base and multiplying it by the height, no matter what shape it is. But I just wanted to mention that. So here, so if you want to solve again for R, what two variables do we need to get rid of first? If we want to solve this equation for R, if we want to get R by itself, what two variables do we need to get rid of?
The h and the pi.
H and the pi. So because we're multiplying, we're going to do what?
Divide.
Divide. So we divide both sides by pi times h. And whatever we do on one side, we do on the other. So then we bring it down. We got volume divided by pi times h equal r squared. Because the two pi's cancel, the h is canceled. So now we left with r squared. Well, r squared is not what we need. We need r. So again, to get r, what's the opposite of squaring something?
Square root.
Square root. So we take the square root. Let me change the color. Oops. Black. Let me change it back. Oops. I don't know what's going on here. Black. There we go. Take the square root of this side. Whatever we do on one side, we do on the other. So now we get the square root of the volume divided by pi times h is equal to r. Again, this is not on your formula sheet. So in the ebook, I solve for every single variable for you. But I would rather you learn it this way, algebraically, how to solve or isolate a variable. That's one of the most important concepts in algebra. So if you're going on to post-secondary school, community college, going for your bachelor's degree, you need to know how to isolate a variable and get a variable all by itself. Okay, so that's how you do it. Again, the reason why we take square root, because the inverse operation of squaring something is square root. So this is why in Schoology, I have you have quizzes for squares, square roots, cube, and cube roots. So you can see the direct correlation between the two. All right. How you doing, Ned? But don't tell me, did he? He just logged out. Did Ned log out? He just logged out on me. Unbelievable. Okay. Hopefully he comes back. I want them to say a few things about him passing the exam. All right. So last week and through email, I got a bunch. Where is it? See all the stuff I have open. I got a bunch of stuff open. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's one of them. There we go. We talk about composite shapes, finding the perimeter and area of composite shapes. So I saw at least 7 questions on a problem like this. They didn't know how to do it. Okay. So can anyone tell me how to do this problem? I have no idea. I can't figure it out. It's giving me so much frustration. I just can't do it. So if you think like that, what's the first thing I tell you? How to start every problem on this exam? Say, ask what?
Identify what you know.
Identify what you know. So if you notice that rectangles, what do we know about rectangles? what do we know about rectangles?
Yeah, 4 sides.
Yes, they
Left
have
time-
4 sides, but
left-
something
left
even more
times width.
important. Length times width is for the area, but we want perimeter. So we're not talking about length times width, we're talking about perimeter. What do we know about rectangles?
2 sides are
All
long.
sides are equal, right?
Yes, opposite sides are equal. So when you look at this and you got this long piece of this shape missing, most people say, oh my God, how do you do it? Well, guess what? This is what we're going to do. What we're going to do is we're going to make smaller rectangles. Watch this. So we're going to make one here. We're going to make one here. We're going to make one here. Right? Now, watch this. So what do I know? If this side is 22, what's the opposite side?
22,
22. If this side is 18, what's this side?
18,
If this side is 14, what's this side?
14,
14. Now we got this little piece, that's 5. But again, if this side is 16, what's this side?
16.
16. Now, we're looking for this piece here. Oh my goodness. How do I figure out that piece? I don't see an opposite side. Hold on, somebody's trying to get in. Here we go. We don't have a side opposite this. So remember, we have this small little rectangle here. So this is 5. We have this small
25.
rectangle here. This is 5. And then we have a long on the opposite side,
It's 15.
15. Now we got one more missing side, which is right here. So what side is that? How much is
10.
that? 10. Remember, perimeter is distance around. So what you do is all composite shapes are just multiple shapes put together. So you find the perimeter of each side individually. And then we add them up. Then you just use your calculator, 22. So we would add 22 plus 18 plus 14 plus 5 plus 16 plus 5 plus 15 plus 5 plus 16 plus 5 plus 14 plus 10 plus 18 plus 10 plus 22 plus 15. And I think it come out to 210, I forget. But we can do it on the calculator. Now this is a long one, but and a lot of people make mistakes even using the calculator. So you go to each one. Let me clear it out. Let me see if I can get, there we go. Let me get it all in there, 15 right there. So, oops, I can't, let me see if I can make it a little bit smaller. Okay, I'll have to make it smaller for right now. So 22 plus 18 plus 14 plus 5 plus 16 plus 5 plus 15 plus 5. And what you usually do is as you're typing them, check. So you won't make a mistake. Plus 16 plus
Got
5
210.
plus 14 plus 10 plus 18 plus 10 plus 22. Yeah, I don't remember if I picked the first one or not. See what happens? I don't even remember if I started with 15 or 22. So I'm use my left arrow. I'm gonna go back in. I started with 22, so I still need to add that 15. So look what I did. I started with 22, so I got to go back and I got to add that last 15. I couldn't remember. We can, anybody, listen, it doesn't matter who you are. Anyone can make mistakes. Plus 15. Oops, 15. 210. Let me clear this for a second. Move this up. Again, so when I'm trying to let you know, that's a lot of numbers, right? I can't even fit them all on. Look at that. But you get the gist, right? Again, go with what you know. That's how you should start every single question. So again, that's something like that, right? So let's look at that's the book. Hold on. That's not the one I was looking for. That's not the one I was looking for. I found one from Light and Salt. It was really good. Where is it? There we go. I like this one first because it breaks it down from the beginning stages. For example, if you look at that first rectangle, right? If this side is 10, X is what?
10,
10. If this side is 6, Z is what?
6.
Okay. That's the first thing you got to understand. Opposite sides are equal. Okay, so we understand that. That's not hard. I drilled that in, right? Okay, let's look at this right here. First of all, look at this question here. Okay, so if this side is 6, Z is what?
6.
6. Okay, what side is A? If this side is 7, A is what?
7.
7. So in this whole side is what?
Altogether?
Altogether.
13.
Mhm, 13. Now, remember I told you a perimeter is distance around. So we had this 10. We had this 6. We had this 7. We had this 4. We had this 7. We're missing here.
That should be 4.
Okay, so we know this. So now this is what you got to do. Remember, this opposite side is 10, correct? We know this whole opposite side is 10, but we don't need the whole opposite side because we have a piece right here. Well, that piece is what?
4.
4. So this piece must be what?
6.
6. Now you can find the perimeter by finding distance around. 10 plus 13 plus 4 plus 7 plus 6 plus 6. That's how you would find the perimeter of this composite shape. But what you must remember is perimeter is distance around. Okay, so what if we wanted to find the area of this same shape? What if we wanted to find the area of this same shape, the composite area? So if we look at, call this rectangle 1, call this rectangle 2. What is, okay, I now hear my digital. You can't hear me clearly, can you?
No.
Yeah, it's like echo.
Let me see. Let me try to mute you, Earl. Hold on, let me see something. Am I echo now? Still echo. Bridget, I'm gonna mute you. Let me see if that's on you. Can you hear me now? Am I digital now or echo now?
You still
No.
echo.
Okay, so Bridget, what happened was I think your speaker is too close to your microphone. So when I speak, it's causing that echo. So I muted you right now, Bridget. But if you need to say something, then take yourself off mute. Okay. All right, so now rectangle 1. How would we find the area of rectangle 1?
We multiply
Multiply what?
6.
10 times 6.
10 times 6, which is 60. How we find the area of rectangle 2?
7 times 4.
7 times 4. 7 times 4 is what?
28.
So if I wanted to find the area of both shapes, what do I need to do to these two numbers?
You add them together.
Here we go. Easy money.
28.
Easy money. It's just you got to break down things into smaller chunks. Okay, so now, of course, the GED is not going to give it to you that simple. They're going to give you something like, let me see if I can find it without clicking on everything here. They're going to give you something like that with a whole word problem. The Wilson's family backyard is a rectangular plot that has a length of 100 feet and a width of 80 feet. The family planted a garden, the length and width of 60 feet. The family planted a lawn in the remaining area of the backyard as shown. What is the area in square feet of the lawn in the Wilson's backyard? What? Again, this is similar to the problem we just did. But what happens is when you read this whole paragraph, it seems like it's too much. So let's find out. Let's do it together. They want to find, so again, first of all, what do we know? So they want to find an area, and we know that we have, so I'm going to break it up into two smaller shapes. Going for 1 second, somebody just, oops, I'm sorry. Somebody just texted me, "Good evening, Professor." That's from my job. I just saw past GED. Where'd you go? I apologize. I've been keeping, because some people have been unable to log in for some reason. Okay, hold on for 1 second. Let me send this link to this young lady. Hold on for 1 second. So I'm gonna pause the recording, and then I'm going to, there we go. Okay, so again, this seems like a much harder question. It's not. Find out what we know. So to me, what should, or not even to me, what would you do? Anybody, and anybody can answer this question. What would your first step be to find the area of this composite shape? Well, remember, composite shape is just shapes, more than one shape put together. So how many shapes do we have here?
2.
Two what?
2 rectangles.
2 rectangles. So let's just divide it up that way. So I'm going to draw a line here, and I'm going to call this rectangle 1, and I'm going to call this rectangle 2. And in fact, I'm going to change the color on rectangle 2. So let's call this rectangle 2. Okay, let's try to. Sorry, say it again.
I can't see the screen. It's just saying that Mr. Tinsley has started screen sharing. My
Okay,
screen is,
are you on your phone or laptop?
I'm on my iPad, my tablet.
Oh my goodness, I can't help you with iPad. I'm not familiar with iPad. Does anybody else have an iPad?
Okay. Let me sign out. I will sign out and then rejoin back on my cell phone.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry about that. So we're gonna call it rectangle 1 and rectangle 2. So what is the length and width of rectangle 1?
80
80 by what?
by 40. Well, by 100.
80 by 40 or 80 by 100? You gave me 2 answers.
I think it's 80 by 100.
It would be
Okay.
50.
No,
Okay, so-
80 by 80. 80 by 80.
Okay, so you said 80 by 100, then you said 80 by 80. Nina said 80
Yeah,
by 40.
80 by 40.
Anybody else? Another 80 by
40.
40.
No, I
Any-
didn't. I said 50. I thought it would be hip. I'm looking at the 100. I thought it would be half of that. So that's why I said 50. I didn't say 40.
Got you,
80
got you. So to you it appeared that's about halfway. So I'm gonna use 50. So I heard 80 by 80. I heard 80 by 50. I heard 80. Who said 80 by 40? I think.
I said that.
80 by
See.
40. It's 80 by 40.
Okay.
No,
Now let me
80.
ask you a question. So what you want to look at? Remember. So if I call this
Oh, yeah,
rectangle
it is
1,
80 by 40,
this is my 80, right? My width
That's
is
it,
only
40.
from here to here.
which is 40.
How'd you get 40? Because we know from here to here is 80, right? But we know
Right.
from here to here is 60.
Right, you got 100 at the bottom.
Correct.
So you take 60 from
60
100, you leave
minus
40.
100 minus 60 is 40. So we get 80 by 40.
40.
So what's 80 by 40? If we're trying to find an area of just that rectangle.
Should be 120.
Nope. No. When you're trying to find the area, what do we do? What operation do we do?
Multiply.
We
Multiply.
What's 80 times 40? What's 8 times 4?
3,200.
32. And how many zeros do we have?
2.
So that first rectangle, that area is 3,200. Are we done?
No.
No, because now we must find the dimensions of the second rectangle so we can find the area. Okay, so if we look at this second rectangle, what do we know? Do we know one of the dimensions already?
60.
60. 60 by what? So now we want to find this piece right here. 60 by that little piece. How do we do that?
That's 20. 60 by 20.
So what did you say it is?
60 by 20.
No, it's 60 by 20. Where'd you get the 20 from?
Because on the left side is 80 feet.
So from
But
here to
on the
here,
right, you're right.
it's
It's
80.
80. And the
Mhm.
other part is 60.
And from here to here is 60. So because we know these two pieces, we know the missing piece is what?
It's 20.
It's 20. 80 minus 60 is 20. So this is 60 by 20. What's 60 times 20?
4,200.
No, not at all. Stop playing.
48.
Don't make the mistake. You gotta
48.
use your calculator. Use your
48.
calculator. No.
48
What's 60
Thought it
times
was
20?
120.
times 20.
4,800.
1,200.
1,200. Again, mental math should have told you 6 times 2 is 12.
That's 12.
How many zeros
yes.
do I have? 2 zeros.
2.
Now, what do we do to those two numbers? So we got 3,200 and we have 1,200. What are we going to do to
Add
those
it
two
up.
numbers? We're going to add them up and we get 4,400. Okay, this is composite shapes. They almost always ask you a composite shape either with perimeter or area. So let me find some more difficult ones, because what happens, this is what I didn't realize, okay? And GED in the United States and GED in other countries are different, way different, okay? So let me try to find one. Oh, like that one right there. I like that one right there. Let me see if I can get this in. Make it a little bit bigger so everyone can see it nice and clearly. Okay, so we can see that, right? We want to find the area of this composite shape. We want to find the area of this composite shape. Well, how many shapes do we have?
A triangle and a rectangle, a square.
Oh, we said a triangle and a square? Are you sure
Right.
about that?
Rectangle.
A rectangle. Sorry about mine. So remember, a square has equal sides.
Right.
This rectangle, one side is 12, the other side is 18. It cannot be a square.
Right.
Okay. So this is a composite shape. We have two. So the second thing we're going to do you know, since we need to find the area of these two composite shapes, right? We must find the area of each individual shape. Can anybody tell me the formula to find the area of a triangle?
Base time height divided by 2.
Okay, so on your formula sheet, it says 1/2 base times height. What you said, Earl, was base times height divided by 2. Are these the same thing?
That's pretty much right.
Yes.
Yes. So the reason why is because if you understand, just like when we talk about the volume of a pyramid, right? 1/3 times the base, the area, the base times the height, right? 1/3. It's easier just to divide by that number. Just divide by 3. In this case, we just divide by 2. Base times height divided by 2. Okay. So how do you find the area of a rectangle?
Length times width.
Length times width. Hold on, Mr. Tinsley, all these variables. We got L's, we got W's, we got B's, we got H's. What is all these variables? Listen, don't let all that confuse you. That's why you have to be familiar with all the shapes. When they talk about base for a triangle, right? They talk about a side that the height touches. So for example, the height of this triangle is what?
7.
7. So when we look at what the height touches, it touches this right here. So this is going to be my what?
That's your height.
Height.
The base.
Base.
No,
Will
that's
be my base, right? What is my base for the triangle?
18
Hold on. I don't see 18 there. Where'd you get 18 from?
at the bottom.
Right, because the opposite side of this
Same.
It's the
rectangle
same.
are
It's 9.
equal. So the base is 18. So now we can plug into our calculator. Now, listen, I can't tell you what to do, okay? While you're working it out, what I would say is do it just like this. So you would say area equal 1/2 base, which is 18, times the height, which is 7. Area equal 1/2 of 18 is 9, times 7. 9 times 7 is 63 yards squared. Now, I would do it by hand first. I would always do it by hand because you want to know why you're taking these steps. But eventually, I want you to use your calculator. So eventually, what we're going to do is I'm going to plug it in. Again, so now, let's look at the rectangle. Length times width. What is the length?
No, 18. 18 is the length.
Okay. Well,
Well,
can
don't
the
make a
length be
difference if
12?
you're multiplying.
Don't,
could be, yes.
Listen, so
She's
don't really make,
multiplying, right?
listen, it just depends. It depends how the orientation of the shape is. Wide or width is how wide something is. So in this case, the length here is 12, right?
Mhm.
Because it looks like a house, so we know the length is 12, right?
Right.
And the width is what?
18.
18. So what's 12 times 18? Again, you can use your mental math. And I'm gonna show you how to do mental math. The more and more you can use mental math, the more confidence you're gonna be. So what you realize, 18 times 12 is the same as 18 times 10 plus 18 times 2. You should know when you multiply anything by 10, you just add the 0, 180, and 18 times 2 is 36. You should know mental math should tell you if you're at 180, you need 20 to get to 200, right? And then you got 16 left.
216.
So the area of the rectangle is 216. The area of the triangle is 63. What am I going to do to both of those numbers?
Add them together?
Add them together. So my total area would be 279 yards square or square yards. You can't forget the measurement. The area is always square, or square inches, or square yards, or yard squared is always square. Now, so that's how you do it, breaking it down piece by piece. Now, watch this. I'm gonna show you something. I'm gonna clear it. Let me save it. Let me clear it. I'm gonna grab my calculator. Let me clear everything in the calculator. And this is why you practice. I'm gonna have to make it a little bit small. So, oops, not that small. I'm gonna have to make it that small for a minute. Let me move it over here. Watch this. In parentheses, 12 times 18 plus, in parentheses, 1/2 times, right? Times base times height. So 18 times 7, right? Close my parentheses, close my parentheses. Same answer, 30 seconds. Knowing your formulas and be able to identify what's given, you can plug them directly into the calculator. Even if you did them separately, okay, you know what? I can't do it all at once, Mr. Tensley. Then parentheses throw me off. Okay, well, let's do a little different. Let me clear it. Let's do 12 times 18. I get one answer. And then I do 1/2, or like Earl said, I'm hit ND. And on the top, I'm gonna have 18 times 7 in parentheses, because I know if I put them in parentheses, that's multiplication, and I divide by 2. Right? Let me make this a little bigger so we can see it nice and clearly. Get my second answer. What am I going to those other answers? I'm gonna add that previous answer, so 216 plus 63. Now it becomes a question you can do less than a minute. Being familiar with your formulas is very, very important. If I say volume of a cylinder, you should be able to say a pi r squared h. If I say a volume of a pyramid, you should say 1/3 the area of the base times height. If I say whatever shape I say, if I say a sphere, if I say a rectangular prism. So this is why on my website, I got flashcards for all the formulas. Can you use your formula sheet? Yes. But if you're taking it online and gotta have your calculator open online and then looking at your formula sheet online and then trying to get everything all situated, it takes time. So I would invest in the time to know all my formulas. That's what I would definitely do that. Okay. All right. So let's see if I can find, it was another one. Oh, I like this one right here. Find the area of the composite shape in terms of pi. What? What are they talking about? You don't get yourself all worked up. Remember, anything that you see on this GED exam, if you go through my ebook and go through Schoology, you done seen every type of problem you're gonna see. Right? It might not be the same exact word problem, but the type of problem you'll see. So I want you to just take deep breaths, about 5 of them. What do I know? What 2 shapes do I have?
Half a circle and a rectangle.
Okay. I also know they want to find the area. Okay. So if I want to find the area of a rectangle, what's the formula? Anybody, it doesn't matter. How do you find the area of a rectangle?
It's
Length times width.
Length times width. Okay, so we got the area of the rectangle. How do you find the area of a circle?
pi r squared.
Pi r squared. Do we need an entire circle? We only need
No.
what?
Half.
So if we only need half, what are we going to divide this amount? I mean, by?
Half. 1/2.
By what number?
6.
No.
I mean,
not gonna divide
no.
by 6.
No, pi 3.14.
Take your time. We know area is pi r squared.
Pi.
We only want that is the area for a full circle. What do we have to
1/2.
divide this amount by to get a half of it?
1/2.
So we're gonna divide by 1/2, or we?
No, 1/2 pi, right?
So
We're gonna
Divide
divide by
by
pi.
8 feet.
We're gonna divide it by pi.
So we can either do 1/2 pi r squared, or as
Right.
in, I think it was Claudette, I believe, or you just say pi r squared divided by 2.
Okay.
So we just want to take this and divide it by 2 to find the area of a half circle. So 8 times 10 is 80. What is the radius for this half a circle?
4.
4.
How did you get 4?
Because the left side is full length is 8.
Right. So when we look from one side through the center of the circle to the other side, that's the diameter. So the diameter is 8. Because we know the diameter is 8, we know the radius is 4. So then we just plug it into our formula. That's what I need you to understand. Identify your given, plug it into the formula. So pi times 4 squared divided by 2. Now, if you want to do this by hand, you can still do it by hand. So 3.14 times 16 divided by 2. Now, you should see 16 divided by 2 is what?
8.
8. That's the mental math we gotta understand. Now, could we plug that directly into our calculator? Yes. But as you're doing math, the more and more you can do by mental math, your confidence and self-esteem is going to go through the roof. Because the biggest problem that people have on a test is they get so anxious, so frustrated, they spend so much time on each problem that they don't finish. Okay, then we just plug into our calculator. What is 3.14 times 8? 24, 80, and 32. Anybody? So 24, 80, and 32. I get 25.12.
By
What
12.
is it? So 25.112. Now I get it in my head because 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 10 is 80. 8 times 4 is 32. So you got 24 plus that 1 is 25. Then you got 12 left over, 0.112. But again, 25.1. Are we done? What is the area of this entire composite sheet? Oh, See, I don't even follow directions. It said keep it in terms of pi. So we going so we not they not. I apologize for that. So I didn't even follow directions. Look at that. So it's not 8 times 3.14. It's just 8 pi. So here it'll be 80 plus 8 pi. That will be your final answer. So that's I'm sorry I didn't see that in terms of pi. So that means you don't multiply by 3.14. You just keep it with pi. Now watch this. I'm going to show you something. Again, the calculator is your friend. I cannot say it enough. Watch this. I'm going to show you something. Keep it in terms of pi. Watch this. 8 times 10, 80, right? Pi r squared. So pi times 4 squared. Boom. But we forgot to what? Divide by 2. Boom. There's your 8 pi. There's your 80. So we know our answer. Let me make it bigger so we can all see it. Again, look how easy. I didn't write anything down because I know my formulas. I know this is length times width. I know this is pi r squared. The reason why I divided by 2 is because we only have a half a circle. So we got 8 pi and 80. 8 pi plus 80. Now that took me 30 seconds. I'm on to the next question, feeling good about myself. If anybody here has taken this math exam, go back to how you felt when you took that exam. When you came across that problem, it gave you difficulty. It shook your confidence. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. I studied all this time. I don't know. Stop that. I'm telling you now what to do. If you get shaken or problem is too hard, what you gonna do?
Flag it.
Flag it and what?
Move on.
And move
Come
on.
back to it.
Flag it and skip it. Come back to it when you finish the exam. Don't get all shaken. Do not get shaken because they're going to give you all these paragraphs, all this information, and you, oh my God, identify what they're giving you, identify what they want to know, go to your formula sheet. And if you do enough practice on Schoology and CK12 and Khan Academy, you should have no problem passing the exam. All right, so let's try. I think that should probably be enough. Let me see. Ooh. That should probably be enough. I think that's good.
Mr. Tinsley,
Mhm.
it doesn't tell you on your formula sheet that if it's a half a circle, you divide by 2, right?
Okay, let me ask you a quick question. So if you got a pizza, how many slices in the pizza?
8.
8. If you ate half the pizza, how many did you eat?
4.
What did you do?
8.5.
Right, they're not gonna tell you every step of the way. Yeah, no. Right, you gotta know half is divided by 2, right?
Right.
Listen, so you're not gonna get. They're not gonna lead you. What's the Hansel and Gretel? They're not gonna lead you. They're gonna get run every step of the way. There's something, the critical thinking skills you have to figure out. So if they gave you a quarter of a circle, that's a wonderful question. Let me go back to a blank page. Let me go back to a blank page.
4th, right?
Exactly. Where's my close my blank page? Where's my blank page? There we go. So if the area of a circle is pi r squared, a half of a circle is pi r squared divided by 2. A quarter of a circle would be what?
Divided by 4.
Divided by 4. A third of a circle would be what?
Divided by 3.
There we go. But it all starts with that formula from your formula sheet. Pi r squared. That's on your formula sheet.
Right.
Everybody understand that?
So that's the full circle.
That's the full circle. The area of a full circle is pi r squared. Yep. I'm sorry. Yes. Listen. You're going to get flustered. You're going to be anxious. You're going to get frustrated. Understand what I'm trying to tell you. And I'm just going to do averages. There's between 40 and 45 questions. So on average, right? On average, so 40 divided by 3. Remember, because it's easy, medium, hard. So let's just divide by 3. Very easy. So 40 to 45 questions. So if we take 40 divided by 3, what do we get? We got about 13. So if there's 40 questions, you got about 13 of each. If there's 45, you got about 15 of each, right? Now, you need a 58%. You need about 55 to 58% to pass. So listen, I'm trying to do the math easy for you. I'm going to show you something easy. If you just do the medium and hard problems, that's 2/3. Well, 2/3 is 67%. What I'm trying to tell you is focus on the easy and medium difficulty. And then once you finish, then focus on the hard questions. Because if you get all the easy and medium questions right, you don't even need the hard questions. Now, I'm not telling you to skip them or not answer them. But make sure that's straight. What I'm telling you is from a mathematical stance, you need about 58%, 60%. We'll round it off. It's like 58, 60%. Well, 2/3, you should know that the fraction decimal percent equivalence of 2/3 is 67%. So what that tells you is there's no reason for you to get shaken. There is no reason for you to get shaken. If something is difficult and you, oh my God, I'll not do that problem, flag it, skip it. Don't even stress it, because look how many you can skip. You can skip 13 and 15 problems. Then when you finish, come back to it. I'm telling you, use that strategy, because these easy medium ones should only take you, especially if you went through the ebook, it's only take you 1 at 2 minutes at the most. At the most. If you practice enough and using your calculator with the ebook, you should be doing questions with under a minute. So this is why during these sessions, I only give you 2 minutes, because you need to, in your mindset, you need to know, I need to be able to finish most of these questions in 2 minutes. So this is why when you're taking a practice test on Schoology, put that timer on. This is why on the practice test, I time you. I only give you 2 hours for 45 questions. You listen, the biggest advice I could give you is to understand easy, medium, hard. Don't sit there on that hard question for 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes when you could have answered 4 or 5 other additional questions that are on a difficulty level of easy and medium. I'm telling you. So you can't do that when you take a test. So you have to prepare that way. So that means when you take your practice test, be used to being time. When you're taking your quizzes, if I don't have a timer on there, get out your phone and say, you know what, it's 15 questions. I'm gonna give myself 2 or 3 minutes per each question at the max. So if it's 15 questions, you know what, let me give myself 30 minutes, see how far I get. Because you want to prepare yourself in every way that you can when you take this exam. If anybody here who's taking that exam, I'm telling you, you feel like on the first couple questions, you feel like you're reading a different language. Am I right or wrong?
Yeah.
You feel like all the studying that you did for all these months, you wasted your time, right? Because that's your mind getting upset. Take those deep breaths, realize, okay, I don't understand this problem, flag it and skip. I want you to hear my voice in your ear. If it's too hard, flag it and skip it. I want you to hear it. I want you to keep saying it. Too hard, flag it, skip it, flag it, skip it. Then what you'll realize is you'll come across those problems that you can do. Then what happens is now you start building your confidence. Now you start feeling better about yourself. Now you come to the end of the exam and now you can face those difficult problems, and then that you're not going to be flustered. Guaranteed. I'm telling you, guaranteed. Ned, are you still here? He must have logged off again. Okay. So that was my, that was area and perimeter of composite shape. So we only got about 5 or 10 minutes left. Any other questions or any other types of problems that somebody's been working on this week? Now, again, area and perimeter composite shapes are only going to be like 1 question, 1 or 2 questions at the most. So don't spend too much time on these. It's only gonna be 1 or 2 questions. So I wouldn't spend a whole lot of time. Anything that anybody's been working on this week that they need some clarity on.
Still want to get to factoring.
Oh, factoring? Okay. Let me see if I got a sheet for factoring.
We can save it for next Monday if you want.
Let me see if I got something real quick. When we can start it. Okay, we got 10 minutes. Let me see. No, I just downloaded a worksheet. It's so funny that you asked about factoring. I just was tutoring a college student in factoring. A college student. The same thing that you're doing is in college algebra. I was just tutoring a college student. I just had some. Let me see. Oh, where are you? I just downloaded you. Oh, come on. All right, I'm gonna make one up. I'm gonna make one up. I can't find a sheet. What I will do is I'll have it ready for next week. So let me go to my blank sheet and I'll make them up. I'll make factor. I'll make some examples up real quick. So let's do x squared plus 2x. Let's do x squared plus 8x plus 15. Let's do 8x squared plus 4x. Okay, so let's do these type of 3. Okay, factor. What is a factor anyway? Can anybody tell me? Oh, did I put the recording back on? Please tell me I put the recording back on. Yes. Can anybody tell me what a factor is? What is a factor?
Is that the number, the answer or something like that? 2 numbers combined?
I wouldn't see that.
The number that they both go into, that they both share, like 4x is the factor of x squared, 8x squared.
Okay. Well, yeah, I see what you was doing.
Multiplication.
So a factor, so that was for that specific. A factor is just a number or an expression, a number or an expression that goes into another number or expression evenly. So for example, 12, let's do the number 12. So the factors of 12, somebody's calling, but I can't answer right now. The factors of 12, and what I usually do, especially for whole numbers, is I would do factor pairs. So 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. These are all factors of 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12 are all factors of 12 because they go evenly into 12. Everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, we want to understand what a factor is. Okay, so now when we look at this first example, we want to find out what can go into both of these terms. What's the highest expression in this case, because we have variables, that can go in both x squared and x. So I'm gonna give you the easiest thing to do when you have exponents. Just use the lowest power. Just use that. So let me just give you an example. So if I have 8x to the third plus 3x squared, right? In this case, what's the highest exponent? I mean, the lowest exponent. The lowest exponent is x.
2x.
So I can pull out of x. So if I pull out of x, if I divide x squared by x, I have x left. Why? Because x squared divided by x, remember this is a 1, is x to the first power. Remember that's where those exponent rules come in handy. Okay, well 2x divided by x. Well, the 2x is canceled. You're left with 2. So x plus 2. So the factor x squared plus 2x, we get x in parentheses x plus 2. So remember what Mr. Tinsley always said, always check your work. You go the opposite. So now x times x is what?
X.
X times x is what?
X squared.
X squared. And then x times plus 2 is what?
2x.
2x.
2x. Did we get the same thing? Check. We know we factored that correctly. Okay, let's go to the second one. Matter of fact, I'm gonna change this. I'm I'll keep it the same. When we look at the variables, we look at the lowest exponent. So the lowest exponent is x squared, because both of these have x as the variable. They just have different exponents. I'm gonna take the lowest one, so I'm gonna pull out at x squared. What I have left, an 8 and an x. What I have left here, plus 3. Let me check it. Again, exponent rules. 8 times 1 is 8. X squared times x is x to the third. X squared times 3 is 3x squared. Check. Okay? I can guarantee you, you're going to have to factor a quadratic equation. This is the third one. So, again, what is the opposite? How do we check our work? We multiply polynomials. So in this case, we multiply the monomial times a binomial. Well, let's hold on for 1 second. I'm sorry. Hold on for 1 second. I'm sorry. I apologize. So let me save this and let me clear this left side. So you're going to have to be able to multiply binomials or multiply polynomials. You're going to have to. That's a skill that's definitely on your GED. Okay. So you also have to be able to factor a quadratic equation. But before we do that, let's do this last one. Let's look at both numbers again. So now we have 8x squared plus 4x. So let me move this over and let's factor that first. First of all, we're going to look at the coefficients. We look at the like terms together. So we look at the 8 and the 4. What is the greatest common factor of 4 and 8?
4.
4. So we're going to pull out a 4. What is the greatest common factor for x squared and x?
X.
X. So we pull out a 4x. Okay. So remember, we're doing 8x squared divided by 4x. So 4 going to 4 one time, 4 going to 8 twice. Then x squared divided by x is just x. So remember, x squared divided by x is just x because that's a 1, right? So we got 2x left. Again, this is knowing your exponent rules. Now, 4x going to 4x one time. Now we check it to make sure. 4x times 2x was 4 times 2.
8.
8. What's x times x?
X.
Nope.
Square.
X times x, x squared.
X squared.
What's 4x times 1?
4x.
4x. Check. Okay, that's what you do when you factor. Now again, you probably when they're going to ask you to factor, they probably going to ask you to factor a quadratic equation. What I'm telling you, the easiest way to factor quadratic equation is 2 things. First of all, if a is 1, what do I mean by a is 1? Ax squared plus bx
equals
plus
cx.
c equals 0. So my a is right here. Whatever my coefficient is, there's nothing there. What's my coefficient?
1.
1. My b is what? 8. My c is what?
15.
Okay. This is the standard form of a quadratic equation. The easiest way to factor the quadratic equation is when a is 1. So when a is 1, I'm going to show you how to do it in 30 seconds. Can you use your calculator? No. You have to be able to do this by hand. So I got to find the factor pairs of 15. What can I multiply together? What factor pairs, what 2 numbers can I multiply together to get C?
3 and 5.
No, let's start with 1.
Oh,
Start in order so you never miss a pair. So we're going to
1
start with
times
1.
5. 1 times 15.
1 times 15. Can 2 go into 15?
No.
Can 3 go into 15?
Yes. 5.
But I have to multiply 5. So 3 times 5. Well, again, 6 doesn't go, 4 doesn't go to 15. 5, we already had. So we know we're done. Once you get to a number you've already is in your list already, you're done. So now we go on the other side. And all we're going to do is reverse the signs of the numbers on the left side. So instead of positive 1, I'm gonna have what?
-1,
Instead of positive 15, I'm gonna have what?
-15,
Instead of positive 3 and positive 5, I'm gonna have what?
-3.
Now understand why I had to do both sides, because -1 times -15 is also a positive 15. Everybody understand that?
Mm-hmm.
So your next step when factoring a quadratic equation, oops, let me change the blue, is to find out what pair is going to give you 8. So which of these pairs, 1 and 15, 3 and 5, -1 and -15, -3 and -5, is going to give you a positive 8?
3 and 5.
3 and 5. So watch this. Since my variable is x, I'm just going to use this 3 and 5. Watch this. X plus 3, x plus 5. You just factored a quadratic equation. Now, let's make sure we check our work. Remember, that's one of the most important steps in mathematics, to check your work. But it's x times x.
X square.
X squared. What is x times 5?
5x.
5x. What is 3 times x?
3x.
3x. And what's 3 times 5?
15.
Do we have any like terms that we can combine?
Yes. 5x and 3x.
So x squared was 5x plus 3x.
8x.
8x, we're going to bring down to 15. Is this the same thing we started with?
Yes.
That's guaranteed on the exam. Factor quadratic equation. Now, this is the problem. Let me save it. X squared, so I got x squared plus 8x plus 15. Let me clear it. What they're going to give you is this, though. They're going to tell you the factor. So when x is not 1, so say x is not 1, it is in this case, but they're going to give you A, B, C, D. So they're going to have x plus 3, x minus 5. X minus 3, x minus 5. X plus 3, oops, x minus 3, I'm sorry. X minus 3, x plus 5. And then the last one is x plus 5, x plus 3. They gave you the multiple choice. So just assume x is not 1, but they give you these answers to factor out. Instead of you factoring, you're going to do the opposite. You're going to go to the multiple choice. Instead of going the hard way, when x is not 1, because it's a much more difficult problem, they're going to give you the multiple choice. So you just multiply them out. So the first thing you're going to see is plus 3 times minus 5.
-8.
Nope. What is plus 3 times minus 5?
-2.
What is plus 3
8.
times minus 5?
8.
-2.
Okay, I'm going to say it real
15.
slow. What is plus 3 times
Oh, time.
minus 5?
-15.
Negative
-15.
15. Well, we
Negative
need a
15.
positive 15.
All right, baby.
So we already know it can't be A.
Right.
What is minus 3 times minus 5?
+15.
15.
Positive 15. So it can be B. Now what I'm doing is I'm eliminating multiple choice answers quickly. Minus 3 times plus 5.
-15.
Negative 15. So it can't be C. Without doing any work, I eliminated 2 already. Without doing any work, just looking at the last 2 numbers and multiplying them, because I realized when I'm multiplying binomials, my last term is going to be my last 2 numbers multiplied by each other. So what I did was I took a shortcut. I just said, okay, plus 3 times minus 5 is going to give me a negative 15. It can't be A. Minus 3 times minus 5 gives me a positive 15, so it can be B. C gives me minus 3 times plus 5, negative 15. It can't be. And then the last one, plus 5 plus 3, gives me 15. So now I know it can be B or D. So now instead of having to factor it, just multiply it out. X squared minus 5x minus 3x. I can stop right there. They're both negative. I know when I combine like terms that if they're both negative, that's going to be minus 8x. I need a positive 8x. Can't be B. My answer is D. I'm done. I'm less than a minute. That's without doing any work. So again, they ask you to factor a quadratic equation where A is not 1. Use the answers and multiply them. Multiply binomials. You don't know how to multiply binomials, make sure you practice, because that's 2 questions on your exam. They're going to explicitly ask you to multiply binomials, and then they're going to ask you to solve or factor a quadratic equation. Almost guaranteed. Let me study guide. And this is the last thing I'm going to show real quick. I think it's one here somewhere. No, come on, hurry up. My phone is ringing off the hook. Maybe they don't have one. There we go, right there. Again, it's not a quad. They're not saying it's a quadratic equation. They need you to make sure you can multiply polynomials. Boom, 6x squared. Boom, 2xy. Boom, minus 3xy. Boom, minus y squared. I got combined like terms, 6x squared. Minus 3 plus 2 is a minus 1, so minus xy minus y squared. Boom, done. 30 seconds. Guaranteed problem on your question when you got to multiply binomials. Guaranteed. All right, so we're gonna have some factoring things tomorrow. Anybody, listen, during the week, if you have any problems, any questions, send them to me in the email, send me in the text so we can go over them next Monday. Any questions before we leave?
Oh, we're good now.
Huh?
Practice. Just need some practice.
That's right. Go and practice. Go and practice. So,
Mr. Tinsley,
yes.
can I have a converse with you after?
Yes, you can. So, any other questions? Everybody have a wonderful night. Listen, for the last 3 weeks, been averaging about 14 people. So it's getting bigger and bigger. So again, have your questions ready. Have things that you're struggling with ready. Either send them to me in a text, send them to an email. I may be able to fix your issues before a whole week goes by. So make sure, as you're practicing, you're keeping note of things you have questions on. So what I would probably do is go over the composite shapes, perimeter, and area, work on those. So I'll send you some worksheets. The worksheets that I have here, I'll include them with the video so you can practice. And then once you got it, move on. Because it's only going to be 1 or 2 questions. The factoring, you can use Schoology, you can use CK12, you can use Khan Academy. All right?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Tinsley. Have a good evening.
You're welcome.
All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Bye, Mr. Tinsley.
Bye-bye. Yes, Nina.
I wanted to know, can I come in and get
Hold on,
some work
let me-
from